I would like to welcome back our first special guest, Corey Hogan.
Thanks, Stephen. Like 30 seconds ago, we agreed that he'd be the first guest.
No, you're going to be up here with him.
Thank you. That's so kind.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard us pick on him. You've heard us talk about him. You've seen the chains of office that he is brazenly wearing to flaunt his victory over me especially. So I had to match him with Calgary Party t-shirts. Ladies and gentlemen, the new leader of the Calgary Party, your mayor, Jeromy Farkas. Let's get on our feet, people. Let's go. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Nice to see you. Did you just adopt him as part of the Calgary? Is that what just happened? You just made him leader of the Calgary Party?
Well, ain't nobody else going to.
Wait, where's my shirt? I want one of those.
These shirts are like the ones that go to Africa for the Super Bowl losers.
I'd love to tell you we ran out, but most of them went to the landfill.
Speaking of shirts, Ryan Sauvé, videographer extraordinaire. Ryan, can you just jump into center stage right here?
The shirt reads, Alberta is recalling, for the listeners.
Fucking amazing. A DIY project. We're going to steal it for the Strategist store. Don't worry. What's up, Mayor?
Yeah, long-time listener, first-time caller.
Oh, so we wanted to spend a few minutes with Mayor Farkas. Go really anywhere, and mainly forward. But I actually want to, let's go backwards to your election. Do you agree with what you heard from Carter on stage regarding social networks, and then how do you think that kind of fits into your mandate going forward in terms of what was the resultant sort of strategies and tactics to your success, and then talk to me about mandate. Let's start there. And we'll go.
Yeah, I think the key thing is just authenticity. It's brand, it's storytelling, and storytelling is. There was a lack of an overall narrative in terms of the campaign. There's a lot of candidates who are fighting for control over the football, so to speak. But I think it just comes down to those personal connections. And at the municipal level, it is so different, right? The big calculus for a lot of folks is this representative going to pick up the phone, right? And there's a lot of folks who are part of our campaign that wouldn't necessarily see themselves 100% aligned with me as a candidate or the policy positions and all the rest, but the face-to-face really mattered. And it was that nucleus of support in Ward 11 when I had ran for city council the first time 10 years ago, that it was those folks who showed up. But on election night, it was brand new folks I was surrounded with that had never supported me before. So I think it's that storytelling, it's the brand that's more important than any of the policy positions. But, it helped that we had the best policy in the race.
So, name one of those policies. I mean, just one. Anyone will do. No, we're moving forward. Let's instead talk about something that matters. Why'd you steal the Discord from me?
Well, it turns out that a mayor cannot jump as high as a bear, unfortunately.
That's a deep cut for the Discord.
And I tried.
Yeah, you did. You did commit to the bit, and I'm proud of you for that.
So the answer is actually in that very cryptic answer, and that's you were engaged in that community for years. You became a known commodity, and there were a lot of people who, even if they didn't agree with you, were like, well, but I like him, and I trust him, and I trust him to try to do the right thing. And that was a lot, and that actually goes to what you were all talking about earlier about social networks. We in this room tend to think politics overrides everything, but politics overrides very little in most people's day-to-day life, and those personal connections and that sense of trust means way, way more.
Smattering
Or our
of
MP.
applause.
He just opens his goddamn mouth.
We're okay. We're okay.
He just opens his mouth and he just sounds so smart, and he makes the pod listenable. So thank you, Corey.
Fuck me, Jesus Christ.
Thank you very much, Jeremy.
I want some of those federal infrastructure dollars, by the way. So tell your boss.
Wow, this is going to be a short
Annalise,
segment.
please get in.
Yeah.
We're about to vomit.
So
Okay.
on that like social network and the conversation, and I find it interesting. I don't go on the Discord very much. A lot of people in this room do, but you go on the Discord and you have a sitting MP. You have the mayor of Calgary. You have a former NDP environment minister. Are you folks, especially this is for you, like, are you going to keep participating in the Discord on a daily basis now that you're the mayor of Calgary?
I see the panicked face of my chief of staff. He's probably Googling, what is Discord? And why is Jeremy on it? How many of you in this audience are on the Discord?
There's a lot.
But yeah, like I think the wrong calculation was made by you, Carter, right? Like you measured social media in terms of like Twitter retweets, LinkedIn, all the rest. Objectively, there was no traction on that unless it was paid. People moved to different networks, right? Like we got a lot of traction on Blue Sky, like our major policy piece, like our first one is on the arts. And that really helped us build the momentum on some of those other ones, as well as Discord. And
That was right after our art policy. I'm remembering it now. Yeah.
Jeremy, how much, you talked about the storytelling at the beginning. How much did the redemption story, the going on a hike, coming back, change, different, like how much did that feed into your success?
Well, it's not a story. It's just my life, right? I remember being on the stage at the Jack Singer concert hall, and I remember all of the other candidates were dogpiling, and they're saying, well, just because Jeremy thinks differently about the arts or about public safety today than he did 10 years ago, it means that he must have been a flip-flopper. It must have been he has no principles. But I remember standing up at the stage and saying, yeah, just because I've changed my mind, it doesn't make me flip-flopper. It means that I have a working brain. And I thought that was the moment that, yeah, thank you. Well, and enough Calgarians, I think, saw that where, if you're willing to do the work, if you're willing to knock on doors, if you're willing to engage in the community in a much more genuine way, then it's not a story anymore. It's just real. It's my life. And there's a level of exposure as a candidate running for office in a municipal realm where it's you on trial. It is you as the person. And I'm just grateful that so many Calgarians had an open mind to me, and just really thrilled and excited to be able to work with this new council team to be able to get it done.
It's a very mayoral answer.
Well, you got to be a mayor for every Calgarian, not just the folks who voted for you, but I could tell probably by the end of the election night that there was a lot of people who didn't vote for me who ended up rooting for me by the end.
Okay, poke a hole in a theory Zain and I kind of came up with. We did a municipal episode 2 days before the election.
Yeah.
And we kind of like came to this conclusion that the ballot box question for those people who were somewhat engaged was, has Jeromy Farkas changed? Do you agree with that?
I don't think so. I think it was still who had the best plan and who was the most credible. And toward the end, if you're watching the debate performances, like I always closed on, I am the only candidate on this stage who can stop a political party takeover of city council and deliver the change the Calgarians are looking for. And and I had to show up to the funeral, I guess. It was me in the library with a candlestick. I killed the Calgary party.
Oh, my friend, I think we did a good job ourselves.
Always taking the credit, Stephen. Always taking the credit.
So, I like you a lot. I really do.
God.
I
Thank
really,
you.
I really
Thank you,
do.
Zain.
I really do. You're a genuine person. I don't know if I can trust you. No, and I say that from the perspective of, I don't know if it's real, and I don't think I'm alone to ask you such a blunt question.
Yeah.
But is the transformation real, man? And is it a reinvention? Is it a transformation? And I'm also one of the people now trying to read tea leaves, being like, who's around him? Who's staffing him? Oh, that's a UCP comms director. That's this person. I don't know who you are. I just don't know if I can trust the new version of you. And I say that with the utmost respect as my mayor, because I want you to succeed. I told you that on the next morning of the election. But I don't think I'm alone in this room, and perhaps others that don't know if they bought what the rest of the city in some ways, or at least a portion of the rest of the city bought.
Well, you don't have to look at the words, right? You look at the actions. Like when it comes to building a team, like I would not have survived 172 days in the wilderness with just what I could carry on my back unless I could grow and build a high-performing team. Like honestly, if I walked into the Mexican desert the way that I walked into a city council meeting 10 years ago, I wouldn't have made it back home. But I did make it back home because I could build those teams. And when it comes to the team around me, like we were able to do what we were saying we were going to do for Calgary in the campaign team, like bringing together left and right conservatives and progressives to be able to get stuff done for the city, right? So again, the proof is going to be in the pudding in the next 4 years, but we've had like amazing first couple of weeks here with this brand new city council, mostly independents, pragmatic, practical people. So, you know, I appreciate the consideration, but you know, a lot of the things, like I stood up on the stage and we ran the numbers. I was the only one who mentioned visible support for the trans community, right? Mm-hmm. So the fact that I did that because I wanted to earn that mandate so that I could be a mayor for every single Calgarian was really important to me. And even the issues I spoke about, say food insecurity, Big Brothers Big Sisters, mentorship, the Alex Community Health Center, you know, it wasn't a recent recognition. It was because I grew up in East Calgary. It's because I grew up in the hood. It's because I had to rely on those food banks. The passion is in there, right? So it's not just words. It's you take a little bit closer look at my biography and you actually see the actions behind that.
I appreciate that, Jeromy.
What's your most Manning Center opinion that you still have?
Jeromy, say electoral reform. It's safe.
What's the most Manning Center opinion? You know, I was hired as an intern. One of my first projects was actually in support of bike lanes. It was in support of active transportation. Yeah.
You're trying to tell me the Manning Center opinion is bike lanes?
Well, anyone who's actually done the research, you can Google Jeromy Farkas Manning Foundation bike lanes, and you'll see 10 years ago.
What's your most non-combo Manning Center?
Being the bike lane guy at the Manning Center is a cop-out?
No.
Surely you've still got some of this, oh, I'm socially progressive and fiscally conservative stuff. Where is it? Where's the old Jeromy that got those center-right people to place that exercise journey? Where are those? Where are you going to go to the wall on those?
Well, it's actually looking at what is the stuff that actually saves us money, right? Like when we talk about housing, homelessness, actually dealing with the issue and root causes. That is the real goddamn fiscal conservative thing to be doing, right? Actually dealing with these issues proactively rather than responding in crisis mode through emergency room visits, through policing costs. That is the stuff that saves money and it saves lives, and it's just the right thing to do, right? So part of it is like what it means to be conservative has changed so much over the past 10 years. Well, and that's the benefit of being a mayor for every single Calgarian is you can actually just look at the issue by issue. What is actually going to work for Calgarians, and how do we get that done without being so bogged down by the party bullshit?
This is the part of the show where you, Mayor Farkas, ask your chief of staff if this was still a good idea. And he says absolutely, because you're too deep in it. Can I actually talk to you about coalition building? Yeah. Like similarly to like lessons learned, because tell me, did you have to rebuild your entire coalition? It's dovetailing off of Shannon's point, which is like, did you start with a center-right base this election and build up to it? Or did you like fundamentally remake your coalition? Like, I'm really curious. I think I talked to you about this on the day after. Like, what was it? What did it look like?
Well, it was one of the first interviews I did with Rick Bell, and I told him, you do not win the race for mayor in this town without planting your flag in the middle and appealing to reasonable people who want to get stuff done. And that was really the focus of our policies, and that was the focus of our team building. Was we tried to be pragmatic. We tried to be practical, and it wasn't just like the Calgary Party, Alberta Party style, stand for everything without specifics. Like we had 189 specific policy proposals, like on how we were going to be championing the arts, how we're going to be supporting housing options for Calgarians, how we were going to keep Calgary moving, how we're going to support our newcomers, how we were going to make sure that youth could stay. And it was the specific details that I think brought a lot of that goodwill. And it's more about practical solutions at the municipal landscape, which it really isn't left or right. It's, are they going to pick up the phone? Are they going to show up at my community association event? And are they going to be willing to work the long nights on some really boring planning stuff?
So just to follow up on that, did you think about sequencing at all? Did you think about, like, I'm going to talk about the arts first, I'm going to talk about housing first, or I'm going to, how did you think about that strategy? Because it seems like you were trying to build a coalition on specific policy throws. So were you thinking, okay, this is the one that's going to build the biggest tent fastest? Or was it just like, oh no, arts is ready to go, it has the valid airs, kind of know where it'll go and let's go?
No, like it was. There wasn't really a strategy behind that granularly. Like, we knew that, say, the mayor's celebration for the arts was coming up. We knew that we had a lot of ideas around the arts, so we figured this is a great time. And if we're talking about the city of 2 million people, we knew it was going to be the creative industries. We knew it was going to be all of these things for us to be able to succeed as a city. But no, you can't game that out too much, because if it was super polished, if it was sequenced like that, people would see through it. And even the parks policy, it came from my experience as a not-for-profit CEO at Colombo Ranch. Some of the other safety policy came from my experience with the Alex and others. So, no, there wasn't a lot of strategy behind that, and it was mostly because, like, back in April when we really started in earnest, like, not a lot of people were paying attention. But we knew that we could really pierce through to the folks who were extra interested in a particular topic by having really good policy.
Hogan, did you want to jump in?
I'm just looking at Steven during all of this and watching him slowly die inside as
Housing. Repeal and replace. What are you replacing it with?
Well, it turns out people don't want an eightplex in the middle of a block with no parking.
So what are you, okay, that's great. That's what we're not doing. What are you going to do?
7-plex.
Oh.
No, not that.
6-plex.
We can keep going lower.
Well, it's community local area plans, not to get too much into the weeds, right? But it's support the housing where.
So it's nothing for 15 years.
No, it's
okay,
it's
no,
support.
I wanted to know. I just needed to hear it. I just needed to hear it. I wanted to hear it. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Once I heard it, I understood.
And money from other levels of government to build housing that's actually affordable for people.
Oh, don't you worry. I got that budget over there. We're going to talk.
Right. Corey, why don't you read us some from the good book?
$7 billion additional for Build Canada Homes, man. I'm just telling you, you and me can run around spending that all over this city.
Going to take more than 3.
There are vomit bags underneath your, if you need them. Any final questions for the mayor? I mean, well, genuinely, we appreciate you doing this and showing up here. But we also got to move on, Carter.
No, I think we should live here.
You like this? This is actually adding a lot
I
to your
think this has
misery.
been super fun for both of us.
I do. Can I, Annalise, do you have anything? Shannon, you have anything?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, this is like a room full of political nerds, and budget is coming up. Can you, in like non-key message-esque answers, can you talk to us?
Oh, like he can do that.
Can you talk to us? Like, get in the weeds. This is the audience to get in the weeds. The budget is coming up. That's the first big thing. People are like, how is he going to govern? Is he going to be right? Is he going to be left? Is he going to be center? Give us like that inside look at budget.
Look at John.
I know,
John's just
John
sitting
is
there shaking his head.
John,
Nope.
he's looking at me. He's like,
John
remember your
hasn't
key
had
messages.
a breath in 6 minutes.
But he's gonna last more than 6 minutes.
You could.
First of all,
No. Hold on. Explain that.
Oh God, I didn't realize they could have gone different. I mean 6 minutes in his job at City Hall.
yeah, we got that. No,
Yeah.
we understood.
Oh, actually, I did not. No, I 100% did not. I thought our mayor stepped into a sex joke and was
Not
was
while
no
I'm wearing
longer
the
gonna be
chains
our
thing.
mayor. Also on stage for the podcast was Calgary Confederation MP Corey Hogan.
We are in a church. We're in a church, Zain.
This isn't going to be public, is it?
I'll let you answer budget, and then maybe what we'll let you do is answer budget, and then any other final closing thoughts, because we do genuinely appreciate you being here.
You know, like we got a great team of counselors we're working with, right? We're hearing a lot about public safety. We're hearing about the need to. We had a safety policy too. It wasn't.
No. Let's go back to the great team of counselors. Let's start there. Should we name names?
Well, what did you guys spend $1 million to elect DJ? He's a $1 million man.
He's
at
not.
City Hall.
We didn't spend $1 million. You're thinking of Edmonton. No, I'm confused about this because the people on council, you know, Annalise has asked about the budget.
Yeah.
Half of the council, a little bit more than half, about 9 people actually, think that this is going to be a fiscally responsible budget. We're going to cut. And then there's another group of people on council who think that we should spend. And you're kind of, well, you're everywhere. Jeromy, you're all over the place. And the question that this is going to be the first opportunity for us to see, you know, what does serious leadership look like, and how are you going to be able to be a serious leader when you're surrounded by some of the clowns that are on council?
Federal grants.
Pardon me?
I said federal grants, but that was, no, you know, go.
Federal grants.
Well, we have to invest, right? Like we've heard from Deb, who's in the crowd, about the importance of public safety investments. We need to continue to invest there, and policing, and that's one element of it, but to actually get ahead of this, root causes, we're talking about mental health, addictions, treatments, all of the things to actually be fiscally responsible. That's a big piece. We've heard a lot about transit, which is important. I believe we have upwards of $20 million in net new funding for core transit infrastructure elements. We have tens of millions of dollars of capital for a new affordable housing project in Southview. So there's a lot of ways that we can still drive down the increase that the previous council approved while still responding to what Calgarians have told us is important.
Be nice.
No, I'm just looking forward to the circus. It's going to be fun. Good luck.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Mayor of Calgary, Jeromy Farkas. Farkas, you want to stay on stage? Just hang out. We're gonna move it over to Hogan. So
Yeah, stay over there.
yeah, stay over there. So there's another podcast-ish, I don't know what you'd call it, like mini podcast we do once a
podcast,
month.
yeah.
We check in with Hogan to see how things are going. It's called Ministry of Podcasts. We're going to do a truncated version of that right now. What's up, Hogan?
Well, I accepted an invite to this really weird event tonight.
Yeah? Where was it?
You know, spiritually, I'm not even sure. Mentally, unclear.
Carter, what do you want to talk to Hogan about?
Well, I mean-
we know what he wants to talk about, which is fucking budget.
No, but I'm really interested in actually talking about the budget. Because
Are you?
Here's my question for you, Mr. Hogan. You have sat on stage, you have sat in the Strategists for a number of years and talked about how the budget is a communications document. The 400-page tome that you've brought, is that the communications document that you not necessarily would have written, but the one that you can get 100% behind? And don't just give us the political answer.
Well, yeah, look. I
Key
think-
messages, Corey.
No key
Can we
messages.
start with what we think this budget needed to be? Like, if you want to talk about it from a communications, I can tell you what I think about it from like a policy exercise. And I think from a policy exercise, it needed to address some economic fundamentals. I think it needed to preserve spending in some essential areas. And I think it needed to say, okay, we've got big challenges, and so that's going to take big spending. And on that sense, I think it did, and we can get into it here. But let's talk about it from a communications exercise. From a communications exercise, what Canadians are looking for is a substantive plan. So you can talk about 400 pages, But the very fact that it's 400 pages and it has that kind of depth and gets into it was kind of an essential part of the communications exercise. But there's other parts of it too. You have the visuals of it, which let's totally unpack them, because God knows, we should talk about the icebreaker on the cover a lot. But there's also then 20 pages of story, and the story is actually not a great, fun story. It's the world is tough story. And so in many ways, what it did is it repositioned the stakes, and it talked about how we're going to respond to it. So the way I think about it is, you're sitting there, you're an economist, you're trying to resolve certain problems. The first thing you got to do is you've got to sit and say, what are we trying to do? What do we have at hand to do it? And how do we get there? And I think the budget does do that. And I think it's a bit of a shame that after the budget was released, we immediately got distracted by a bit of a sideshow across the way with floor crossings and Pierre Poilievre's leadership, because it's a good budget, and I'd like to talk more about the budget.
So when you're sitting in the House and you realize that Matt Genereux is leaving, tell me about...
Guys, that was crazy.
Tell me about the story. Yeah. I'm legit, weren't you actually,
Yeah. Well, can we start the day, 2 days
These sideshows are taking over the budget. Okay, here we go.
I
He's
lasted
so into it, he's like more into it than the budget.
Before I myself was taken over by the sideshows. Okay, on budget day, on the day of Francois Philippe's speech, right? We are sitting there, and all of a sudden there's Politico reporting that Chris D'Entremont is thinking about leaving the Conservative Party. And that's weird, right? It's weird to see that and think about it, because it kind of feels like it's done when you see that in many ways. And Chris himself has said, geez, wish it didn't come out like that, right? But we're sitting there, and this is during a speech that FPC makes. It's pretty long. We call him FPC, by the way. And we leave the speech, and myself and a friend and a colleague of mine, Eric St. Pierre, who's an MP from Montreal, we're going to an event. And while we're in the car on the way to the event, he's been kicked out of the Conservative caucus. Whoa, wow, that's wild too, right? And then before we have had our first course at the event, he's a member of the Liberal caucus. And that was crazy. That was really fast. And certainly we've been hearing rumors for a while of people that were kind of not thrilled and all of that. And can you blame them? And so then it's just pandemonium in Ottawa. Ottawa is a funny city, can I say? So the week before, you couldn't walk down a hall in Parliament without somebody throwing a microphone in your face and saying, are we going to a Christmas election? This is unstable. You guys don't have the votes. Those parties aren't with you. And then all of a sudden, you couldn't walk down the hall without them saying, do you have a majority government? Is this coming? What's that? It's a very frenetic city. It's a city that needs to find its inner calm. It does not have it. And so that's going on. And then we are sitting in the literal first vote of the budget, which is a vote on the Conservative sub-amendment to the block amendment, because Pierre Poilievre forgot to move an amendment. Also weird, but maybe a bit of a sideshow to the sideshow. And we have what's called standing votes. That's where you see them stand up and they'll say oh, Mr. Gay, Mr. Hogan, Mr. Ramsey, as they go down the line, and they kind of clock us all. And the standing vote is literally going on when the news that Matt Genereux is not there breaks. We're sitting in the House of Commons. You've got to keep in mind, this is a Conservative motion we're voting on. We're looking across to the other aisle, and we're thinking, what the fuck's going on? Where are these guys? It's 1/3 full. The mover, or at least that Pierre Poilievre was supposed to move it, he's not there in the House of Commons. And then as the Conservatives are voting yay on their motion, this news breaks. And all of a sudden, MPs are exchanging phones. Is this real? Hey, did you see this article?
Including on the other side?
Well, I think on our side.
On our
I think
side,
they knew. Because half of them didn't show up, right? And we're in real time trying to process what this information means. And so Matt Genereux has put out a thing that, please don't contact my family. I'm not running. I hope to talk to the House again at least once before I leave. And we're like, wow, what is going on? And of course, there's lots of rumors, and you can get them elsewhere. But, we actually, if it had been a tactic, it would have been brilliant, because, we were having to yank each other up to vote. People were distracted. It was crazy. But he himself did not vote. He abstained on that, which is a little unusual. And it just kicked that rumor mill that was already at 11 to 15. And again, you couldn't go anywhere without that being the talk of town.
So I took this in federal politics now, so I pay a lot more attention to it. I'm a lot more wired into it. I heard about General on Monday.
Yeah.
But I also,
The morning of the d'Entremont, I also heard 3 or 4 more. So was Monsieur d'Entremont essentially, did he just blab and actually foreclose a whole bunch of others that could have gone?
I haven't been involved in the conversation, but I'll tell you this, because this is like barely qualifies as gossip in Ottawa at this point. For weeks, people had been talking about a few conservatives who were unhappy. Weeks. You know, it was always sort of sitting out there. There's some people who are unhappy. You never know what's going to happen with Pierre's leadership. Really started with the RCMP thing. So when Pierre Poilievre described the actions of the RCMP as despicable, like all of a sudden, there was drama, there was strife, and then very specific rumors. Reporters would reach out and say, "I've heard 7 names. Can you confirm the 7 names?" I'm like, I can confirm I've heard the same 7 names you have. That's not really confirming anything, right? These are the rumors. And there's a lot of wish casting in Ottawa. If you really want something to happen, you turn it into a rumor, and then you see where it goes. But yeah, no, I had certainly heard a longer list of names, and certainly, well, we just saw what happened. But it's hard to say what's real and what's fake sometimes in Ottawa.
So, Jeromy Farkas is leader of the Calgary Party. Did you hear about that?
Nobody's talking about the Calgary Party, Stephen.
Even in a city obsessed with gossip like Ottawa, no one's talking about the Calgary Party. Shannon.
Corey, can you tell us about what post-budget rollout week is like? Because I don't think people fully understand how busy constituency weeks are, and especially the week after budget, and how everybody has to fan out and do stuff.
Yeah, so, well, as Shannon well knows, I was the DM of communications in Alberta. And for me, it was like, just put these things on a chart. The little MLAs will go around. The ministers will do this stuff. It looks like a nice full chart. Isn't that nice, right? It is crazy. Like, you just go from event to event, stakeholder to stakeholder, meeting to announcement, and it never ends. It starts at 7 a.m. and it ends at 10 p.m. every day. Clearly, I'm playing hooky because here we are right now. But yeah, it's pretty relentless. And when it's a federal budget, there's a lot of affinity for what's called echo announcements too. So a nice way to describe that would be not news. We invite people to not news and we hope they show up. But it's just doing the not news in a different region and hoping the regional media kind of attend. And so, yeah, you immediately get home if you're a minister or a parliamentary secretary like me, or an MP representing a region that has its own media markets, and you just do announcements. So I'll just use myself example. Saturday we re-announced budget writ large. On Sunday, we talked about climate competitiveness specifically. Monday, the finance minister is in town, and we're doing a series of activities around that. Today, I did a housing announcement, also tied to budget. Guess what? Not my only announcements this week, and they just continue. And in addition to all of those, you're doing interviews, you are meeting with stakeholders who are affected by the budget, and you are also trying to put out your own communications on all of these things.
So how much does it annoy you that people say that you're on a break week from Parliament and you're not really working?
It's torture. Like,
Yes.
it's a constituency week, and frankly, even that is a stretch, because it's the big macro narratives that you are pushing in your constituency. It's really just going on tour with the budget and hearing what people think about the budget.
So we promised folks in this audience that this show would go 7:30 to 9:30. It's now 9:30. Some of you may have babysitters at home, and my advice to you is take it from the Northeast. Kids can raise themselves. So stick around. We want to go. Can we go another half hour or so? Like, you guys can honestly leave whenever you need to. I totally understand the realities of life. But I have another question for Hogan, and I want to open up the floor. So can we do another 30? Are we cool doing that?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
I think it's Carter's bedtime.
It's way past my bedtime.
It is way past your bedtime, but the euphoria of other people succeeding probably should keep you up for a while.
I worked on his campaign too.
I know, and now he's doing so well, sitting by himself, not even close to you. Hogan, my sort of concluding question, not to say this last question for you, is, are you still loving it? Is there been a new part of it that you've liked or disliked? QP, for example, you bring up as something you fucking
QP.
hate. Is there anything that's been put on the radar in terms of I did not know I'd like this, or I like this, or this is not or meeting my expectations? Like, bring us into the job.
Yeah, I mean, look, there are more good days than bad. I think I'm where I want to be and need to be, and I'm happy to be doing it. Am I loving it? I'm not sure I ever loved it. I'm not sure this is a lovable job. And just look at Shannon. Yeah, she's with me. It's pretty relentless, and it's relentless in ways that hurt the people around you, your family most directly, right? I really hate the travel. I really hate being away from my wife and kids for so long. The fall is the worst in Ottawa. Like almost half of the sitting weeks are in the fall if you're a federal politician. So I don't see my family a ton these days. And as already established, I'm home and I'm not home. Like I'm not seeing my family right now. And that's tough. And that is just the reality of this job. And you do it for your kids. You do it for your family, for your community, for the people you love. And you try to do the right thing. But it's tough. It's really, really tough. But I'm also a political animal, and there's a lot that I like, day to day. When you're in the moment, it doesn't bother you. It's when you think about it. But I like doing a media scrum. I like making a random speech. I like just sounding off on my opinions, and there's 30 microphones, and I think, oh, I shouldn't have fucking said that. So that's...
So it's the podcast with better pay.
It's the podcast with better audio equipment. And I really like it, and candidly, I think I'm pretty good at it, and so that's nice because it's nice to succeed at things. But, jeez.
My take on
Thank you.
But he's got a butt. Let him finish.
But I don't know. I mean, do I aspire to do this my whole life? Holy cow, no, not at all. No.
I feel like a modern politician is like an influencer who goes to the polls every 4 years. It really seems like that, doesn't it?
Kind of. But I think that's really dependent on where you are. Like if you're a conservative in suburban Calgary, or frankly a liberal in suburban Toronto, no, that's probably not your existence, right? But I think if you are somebody who is a lone voice for a region, or you're from a region that has like a lot of personality and character, I'm thinking like Labrador, for example.
Okay,
right?
Yeah.
Then I sort of agree with you, yeah.
Or if you really have to scrap it out for your seat, then you have to do that.
Then you have
to.
That's right. And I think that the nice thing about being a liberal from Calgary is we know how to be scrappy. We know how to fight for attention. And we are definitionally going to have to be pretty attenuated to conservative environments, conservative arguments. And that provides a lot of value in a city that sometimes can only hear itself and hear the people most directly around it.
Can we just unpack for a second the idea that he said that he's pretty good at this? Just out of curiosity, over the past, how long have I known you? 15 years. Is there anything that you haven't been particularly good at?
No, well, to be fair, though, I'm just pretty good at stuff,
Do you feel
I
like
met you when you were running the Liberal Party of Alberta.
Kept him alive longer than anyone else could, my friend.
Okay, let's move it to the audience. We've got 25 minutes on the clock. I expected 15 of you to stay. Now that there's like a shit ton of you, I don't know how we want to do this. Carter, do you want to take like 5, 6, 7 questions at a time? 4. Let's do 4 questions at a time. Take them in and then
Why
just...
don't we do 3? I'll never keep like 7 in my head, yeah.
Okay, let's do 3.
Yeah, Zain.
It's fine. Let's reduce our ambition.
We'll never
I guess.
remember them.
Let's do 28 questions at a time. They all deserve our full attention.
See, Stephen, that was a callback to something dumb you said earlier. So,
No, that's good.
I just want to say that the burn unit is municipal jurisdiction.
It's pretty good.
Then I shan't
was
expect
good.
much.
What do we do? Let's just do hands. I'll try to pick some hands. Okay, we'll do. I see Lindsay right here. We'll do Lindsay and then gentleman behind you, and then I'll get those 2. We'll do those 4. So very quick, questions. I'll try to ingest them, and then we'll go from there.
I have a really quick question. Can we agree to not use pink fucking signs again?
Okay, pink signs, question 1.
Okay.
Sir.
Vancouver, we've had municipal political parties for a long time, and air war, treating it like a provincial campaign, all that works.
Yeah.
So, was there a problem with the strategy, or is Calgary just not ready for political parties yet?
Vancouver comparison number 2. Yeah, with the glasses right there.
It's for Shannon and Annalise. On this council in Calgary, we have 2 mics, 2 dams, and 2 women. I would like you to have a conversation about that briefly and just talk about the state of things at that.
Women on council. I'll get that one, and I'll get one last one. Right. Yeah, right here. And I'll get you next time. Sorry, with it.
What do you wish would call the Calgary party instead?
Great questions. Where do you want to start? Carter, I think a couple of them are at you. So Vancouver strategy, pink signs, a name for a Calgary party, and then we've got the women on council in Calgary. So you want to start with the first 3?
I love the pink signs. I thought they were great. They stood out. They were visible.
Yes, they really divided you from Jody Gondek's pink signs.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Now, in fairness, she had to change to green because we had the pink. We were pushing pink first. No, I like the pink signs. They were, you can call them an eyesore, but I mean, the real eyesore is the Zain Velji for leader sign.
Galen Weston approved, I will say. Indeed, Carter, Vancouver's been able to do this. They run it like provincial. You've actually played in Vancouver.
Vancouver, Surrey, a number of different places with parties, yeah. And they do treat it like, the difference is they have it large. As soon as you add it large, you're foundationally changing everything because now you're
Explain
trying...
that to people so who may not understand.
Basically, we have wards here in Calgary. We have 14 wards to try and appeal. There's 12 wards in Edmonton. Those wards are individual little fiefdoms, but when you're doing an at-large, it's the whole city. So an at-large election is foundationally different, and it does change it changes the connection because now you really can't reach every person. When I ran the by-election for ABC in Vancouver, door knocking wasn't even something I thought about because what are we going to do? Door knock 680,000 people? It's just not going to happen. So I didn't, it's a different animal.
What would you rename the Calgary party?
I can't remember. There was something really good that I really wanted to call it.
Was it on the short list, you mean?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Going-
but
going
it was
into the
kind of like
future.
anybody who, we wound up going around and around and you wind up losing anything that actually has meaning because everybody goes, no, that's too controversial. And I can't remember what it was, but it was controversial and it would have been great.
Would you put housing in the name, given what you're saying about going all in on housing?
No, because I would like it to last longer.
Shannon, Annalise, do you want to talk about the lack of women in council?
Well, a really wise man once said that money is the currency of politics. And I think that's true, and that usually is some of your explanatory material for who gets elected and where. Carter's point was that they could do some of that centralized recruiting onto the ballot for a more diverse ballot using the party mechanism. But when you have people self-selecting onto the ballot, I don't know if you've ever done candidate recruitment for a party. I have. And believe me, it's always the dudes who are like, oh yeah, I'm totally qualified for this job, right? Who will always self-select themselves onto the ballot, whereas women take more convincing. Always. You always have to tell them that they don't need to know the full 400-page budget or be able to, think about the macroeconomy like a central banker does in order to qualify for being a part of elected office. You have to convince them of that. It does take that extra bit. It also, the fact is that it is harder to raise money, period, for municipal candidates. That is especially so oftentimes for women. That's what the political science tells us, right? And in this particular cycle, you had some retirements, some changeovers, and so on, and some people who kind of just didn't, well, I'm thinking like Courtney Penner, just didn't get reelected for a whole bunch of reasons. So, the women that you did have as incumbents, because that incumbency factor is huge, There were two of them, Gondek and Penner, that did not get reelected. And so they needed to probably be replaced in safer seats by women candidates who, and probably the community needed to, rally around them. There may not have been the right people in the right places. If that makes any sense, right? For a long time, Drew Farrell was on that council. Now she's not there. And I think the progressive replacement for her is, in fact, a dude, right? So that incumbency factor was lost. But if, I don't know if there was any more than that to say than like money and recruitment. It's always what it is.
And after you, Annalise, Mayor Farkas, I want to
Yeah.
maybe get you on this too. Two women on council.
Yeah, I mean, I think to your point, it's concerning. It's the city council is very white and very male, and the limited reporters who are covering are also the same. And
good point.
I would probably bounce that to the gentleman sitting beside me in terms of like that governing for everyone, right? And our city is not super white and super male, right? We have a very diverse city. We have a very young city, and I'm curious for your take on it.
Yeah, and obviously we all have our lived experience and blind spots. And when I was on the debate stage, I really emphasized that a majority of Calgary is now BIPOC, right? More than a third of Calgary today were not even born in North America. And I really wanted to lean in that message, and that there's traditional decisions that have been made from City Hall that have not reflected all of us, or they've not really emphasized the need for especially equity-seeking populations. I'm a member of the LGBT community. I bring a certain level of lived experience. Newcomer family, grew up in East Calgary, but that doesn't make up for the other blind spots. So I think it comes down to elevating the voices, making sure that we're sharing that leadership. And there's a hell of a lot that we can do to be able to cover for those blind spots on agencies, city boards, commissions, in terms of the nominations that we make to those boards, as well as the standard that we set for city administration itself. Right, I was quite surprised when I rejoined City Council as mayor, that it was largely the same leadership table, all around the same table. And that's a voice that I'm going to have to continue to address. Obviously, I have my own blind spots, my own lived experience, and it's about sharing that leadership, growing the circle, rather than assuming that we have all of the answers. And again, this is an area that I'm looking to listen to Calgarians to really see and hear how I can continue to be an advocate, given my own limitations.
I want to go, okay, I'll go up this way and come down that way. So the gentleman that didn't get in last time, I'll go here, and then I want to go up to the balcony to see if there's any hands. So I'll get you first.
Brian Thiessen.
The former leader of the Calgary Party.
Okay, anyone on the balcony? Oh, they're shy. Okay, I've got a hand here and I've got a hand here. So I'll go here, and then I'll go here. So, yeah.
Forever Canada, someone on stage said that was never going to happen, never going to work.
Oh, yes.
Why work? Why is fair work?
Lessons from Forever Canada. Okay, Forever Canada. Lessons learned. Yes.
Better Edmonton is the worst name for a political party to discuss.
Better Edmonton is a terrible name for a political party to discuss. Third one right here. Yes, sir.
The Forever Canada siphoned attention for the municipal campaign. Just following that question.
Thoughts on Forever Canada, the Hogan, and then we'll head in.
Can I just say, like, I didn't think they had a snowball's chance in hell. What they did was extraordinarily impressive, like extraordinarily impressive. And it gives me a ton of heart that so many people love this country enough to say, yeah, absolutely, okay, I'm going to sign up to go to the farmer's market and get signatures. And it really speaks to kind of the power of that network effect that we were talking about, and how networks can kind of self-organize in this day and age too. But in Carter's defense, it seemed really improbable, and it's really cool they got it done. And I'm just so thrilled that they did.
Carter, what lessons would you take from that? And do you think it siphoned off attention, time, resources from the project you were up to?
It absolutely siphoned off resources. It happened right over top of the municipal election, and a large number of people who have normally been involved with campaigns were involved with that campaign, and believe that to be far more important than the municipal elections that we were running.
Yeah, it turns out the Canada Party trumps the Calgary Party. Who knew?
Okay, that's all I had to say.
Well, two things on the Forever Canadian petition, though. To the point about the death of social media, that petition was organized almost exclusively on Facebook. So not entirely, not dead yet, in the Monty Python reference, but so that's the first thing. But the second thing is when I talked to Lukaszuk in the summer, he said, well, we're hoping that municipal candidates take this with them and use it as something of a door opener and a conversation opener with people. Was that not a good idea, or?
Gondek did at the very end.
Well, back to April or something, like the very first communications piece our campaign published in the Calgary Herald was why Calgary needs to lead from the heart of a strong and united Team Canada. And it was probably the communications piece that had the most traction during the course of the campaign. And it surprised me just on a personal level why all of these other candidates, even Mayor Gondek, didn't touch this as an issue until September of the election. And they allowed us to essentially occupy that lane about how we can advocate for a better deal within Canada, but we're Canadians first.
Did you do a photo op signing it?
I didn't. I just signed it. I think it was at, I can't remember where I signed it. It was probably end of the Rainbow Foundation where I was just asking.
That's where I signed it too, actually. Yeah,
I think we both signed it
we
back
did,
to back.
back to
Yeah,
back.
I remember there.
God.
It's
And when
nice
you
to be
signed it,
nice.
I signed it on Tuesdays, and it was a good day.
I remember we had a conversation. What's Stephen Carter doing? Seems so bad. Yeah.
Fuck these guys. Okay.
Was there another question that I'm supposed to answer?
I think we got
yeah.
those
Better
ones.
Edmonton.
Better Edmonton is the one that's on the table. Terrible party name, or worst party name was the
No.
Hey, actually, as like a lead into this, can we just talk about how funny it was that there was a Calgary party and a better Calgary party? Like, like
Yeah, it's funny.
and then you made better Edmonton. I just feel like best Edmonton was ready to eat your lunch.
Better Edmonton. I mean, ABC is a better city in Vancouver, and ABC Calgary became a better Calgary, and then suddenly we had better Edmonton, and I'm not going to defend it.
In fairness to you, though, like, weren't any of the names or any of the words in a federal provincial party prohibited?
They
Like,
weren't.
you couldn't use like liberal or conservative or progressive or any of these adjectives.
No, but in hindsight, I really wish I'd used marijuana.
I'll get the next tranche, but I've got to follow up. I'll come to you in 1 second.
That was nice. That was a nice one right
Thank
there.
you. Thank you.
Carter, can you strategize for me? What should Lukaszuk do right now? What should he do? What advice would you give him? He's got all these physical petition signatures. The float of a new political party has not been denied. I can't say it's been greenlit, but like, what would you kind of think if you were him right now? What advice would you give him? Open to anyone else, but I'll start with Carter.
I think that I don't know that I should be giving that advice.
Why?
Well, because I think that my bias is towards something that is new and something that is occupies the center that is completely unoccupied in Alberta. I would love to see something come back, and I think that Thomas has reinvented himself again as a populist leader and could, on some level, help with the development of such a project.
Anyone want to have a shot or shake at that before I
Yeah,
jump?
it sounds like Carter wants to run 87 provincial campaigns.
I would
67 would be fine. Yeah, 67.
I would just jump in and say keep the politicians away, right? Like, national unity is so important that it can't be one thing that either the NDP or UCP or Liberal or Conservatives or any individual can own. And that would be my advice, is keep the politicians away from this, keep it grassroots, keep it about Canada and not about the partisan flavors of the day.
Hogan?
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I think one of the real magic parts of what Thomas did was he was, a former deputy premier of a party that was dead, and he just didn't neatly fit into any of the parties, and that's why it was easy for everybody who loves Canada to support it. But I also think that's exactly why he and all of us need to get ready. Like, there is still the possibility we have a referendum on this particular matter here, and the country is not a bargaining chip. It is never the head you put a gun to. We love this country, and I think that means exactly what Mayor Farkas was saying here. If you think for a minute your participation is of benefit to you but deleterious to the country, you stay away. You make this about something bigger than you, bigger than parties, and I couldn't agree more.
Would you say that Confederation is worth fighting for?
Jeromy, I would, Jeromy. Thank you.
Shannon, Annalise, you want to get in on this question? Are you good? Okay. Happier glasses. I'll go here, and then I'll put your hands up if you've got questions. Okay, I see no others, so I'll come down this way. Yeah, and I'll go this way.
Landon Johnson, Jyoti Gondak, discuss.
So the recall petition against Gondak, I suspect that's to Mayor? Okay. Stephen, sure. Okay, we got that. Front row right here, and then I'll go back this way. Yes.
How much do you think the Calgary Party was negatively affected by people who rejected the concept of parties as like a principle?
Parties as a principle rejection. Right here, second row.
For Carter, why did you go hard on Smith sooner?
Why did you go hard on Smith last part? Sooner. Why not sooner? Okay. And then, yeah, one right there. Recall success. Okay, so we got recall petition, recall success going forward, right? And I'm assuming your question is Jyoti Gondak recall petition, right? We got a question here about the recall against UCP MLAs and what the success factors are required. We got a question on why not Danielle Smith sooner, and then an outright question on party rejection. I'm happy to start anywhere. Carter, do you have a favorite? I'm going to bundle the recall questions together.
Well, I'll start with the recall question. I think that sometimes politics really works from a positive place, and we achieve things positively. I think that we can talk about the Forever Canada petition as one of those positive places. I think that Corey's election was one of those positive places where, yay, where we were able to capture things. It doesn't mean it was not without negativity. Doesn't mean it was not without an enemy or an antagonist by any stretch of the imagination. But it was positive. It was designed to be positive. And then there's Landon Johnson and what he tried to do. And Landon Johnson, his entire campaign, his entire positioning of the recall campaign is just negative. I didn't want Jyoti Gondak to be our mayor after about 100 days.
You're rounding up a bit there.
Rounding up. No, it's the 100th day. It was, making it right on the money. Anyways.
I heard you lasted longer than 6 minutes. I'm not going to let you forget about that, Farkas.
Really bad.
I really stepped in it, didn't I?
Yeah, no, thank you.
No, I think that there's some things that are just wrong, and that recall petition I think was wrong, and I think that it's an interesting juxtaposition with the recall Alberta petitions. Where's Ryan?
Ryan's right
with
here.
his Alberta is recalling. I mean, part of me loves the reversal, right? Oh, we're going to get them. We're using their tools against them. I don't like the tool. I think that recall is not a tool that should be in our toolbox. I think it's mostly negative, and I think that the fact that it can be used does not necessarily mean that it should be used.
Shannon, what do you think here? You want to get in on this?
Sure, as someone who 18 months ago could have been recalled. I think I love it and I hate it. I love it because I know that it is making the UCP MLAs who have no reason to be jittery, like in places where they won by 30 points or whatever, they are nervous. I find that delicious. because they are so brittle and they're so insecure, and it's just really a lot of fun to watch. But I hate it because it's dumb. To Carter's point, in our Westminster Parliament, you elect people for their term and then they enjoy the confidence of Parliament or the legislature, or they do not. And that is how we end our terms, is we visit the Lieutenant Governor, the Governor General, and or we fall on a motion of confidence or supply. That is the system. So I hate it from that perspective. I also hate it from the perspective of diverting organizing resources, because obviously I'm a New Democrat and I would like my friends to be in government after the next election. I know how hard it is to get elected in the seats that it's going to be really hard for a lot of people to get reelected, especially in this town where they won by 200, 400, 600 votes. I also know how hard it's going to be to win the more marginal seats where we are competitive but not quite, and didn't make it over the line in 23, and what it's actually going to take. And believe me, it's going to take those organizing resources that people are putting into recall. To get that, like my friends in Lethbridge East who are like, hey, we should recall Nathan Northrup. I'm like, or you could elect a New Democrat, because it also takes the same amount of organizing resources. So I love it and I hate it.
Is it an either or though, or is there a sort of version of, this is where I was hoping the dotted line of Forever Canada would kind of potentially lead to recall, but NDP Forever Canada recall, is there not like a growing up to an electoral outcome at some point versus the diversion of resources? Any thoughts on this?
Yeah, look, I think it's an ecosystem of action, but I don't think that all of that, never mistake action for direction, right? And it is actually not going to be very easy to channel all of those forces all of the same way all of the time. And that was one of my concerns with some of Stephen's commentary about, yeah, I use this as an opportunity to create X or Y or Z. Well, it's not X or Y or Z, it's A. And so you've got to be very careful about drawing those straight parallels along the way. It's got people who have not been passionate about politics, and that's great. But I think Shannon's dead right. Those political organizer classes, they should think about what's the level of effort required for this, which, by the way, is then just a vote to see whether you remove somebody, to see whether or not there's an election where maybe there's somebody who's a more palatable conservative. Or just go out and win a fucking election in like 2 years. Like, it's coming right at you.
Well, I guess the question I have is, Falbus, what does it tell you about the pent-up enthusiasm or the pent-up sort of desire to do something that I think is partially present in this room as well today, in terms of saying, it's a thing I can do right away?
Oh, it's in Ryan's shirt. Yeah, it's marketing right there.
Right. Like, what does it tell you about that sort of, if we talk about communities, network effects, anything it tells anyone on this stage?
It's fun to punch sometimes. That's just, it is fun to punch and land a blow. And if it makes your enemy feel skittish and uncomfortable and upset, then that makes you feel good. It's not, is this the best tactic for the long term? It's, am I going to do this just for now?
I had some party questions, Carter. Why didn't you hit Danielle Smith sooner? I think you partially answered that, but if you want to add a finer point to that, which is one of the questions. And then the second question, just coupling it in, overall lack of enthusiasm for parties, how did that impact your party?
Yeah, so the why didn't we hit Danielle Smith sooner, the simplicity of it is that we felt like she was Teflon. She just kept, all summer long, everything that was thrown at her just seemed to bounce right off of her. And we thought, well, we're not going to even try and throw punches. And that was just erroneous thinking.
Can we do one final round? End it there?
There's one more question on
parties overall. Yeah, sorry.
There was a myth that was created. It was very well done by a guy named Farkas. Anyways, the parties were in some fashion bad, and the progressives took that positioning. The glorious mayor beside me took that positioning, as though there would be something that would be wrong if they were to win. And we were unable to battle that, and I didn't foresee it coming. But it's just wrong-headed. It's just wrong-headed. We use parties at every level of government, and not only that, informal parties appear virtually with every municipal election. So I just think that it's wrong-headed.
Farkas, are you forever anti-party?
We do it at these other levels, but should we?
Yes, absolutely,
You know,
100
so that's the
percent.
obvious follow-on question, and I think I've really been fascinated by this conversation about municipal parties over the past year and change. People can so easily see the problem with parties in situations where they don't already exist, but to your point, those problems do manifest provincially and federally. There's no denying it, right? Like, parties are great for organizing. They are not great for a lot of other things, right?
They're great for governing.
Well,
They're
how about
great for
fundraising? Money.
money, organization, structure, getting women involved in politics, bringing minorities involved in politics. We can set so
Okay,
many goals
you know
and
what?
actually achieve them.
But can I just say on the women and minorities point, there were more before there were parties. So what do you
Well, I
make
mean,
of
it
that?
took a wrong turn for a while there when we let the men be in charge. But we're back on track.
Attempts by the MP from Calgary Confederation to move his chair. I'll do one final round and we'll wrap it up. Okay, I've got.
There's somebody up in the.
Okay.
they're
I'm
losing their
gonna get balcony because the enthusiasm is off the charts, and I'm gonna go there, and then I'm gonna go. Where's someone pointing? Oh yeah. Okay. 1, 2, and then I'll go 3. Okay. Go ahead.
Shannon Carter should advise Jeromy Corey how to cope with this bloody notwithstanding clause.
Okay, so the question, just to repeat it, advice from Carter and Shannon to both Farkas and Hogan regarding what to do about the notwithstanding clause. Yay? Thumb up? Okay, I got the question. Sir? How was it the same question? It's such a fucking specific question. I'll take it as the same question.
Statistics may seem undemocratic, and I agree. Notwithstanding clause also comes across as undemocratic.
So version of the same question. Okay, I'll get the final question with this lovely woman right here.
And how far is the rejection of municipal parties actually the rejection of the government that brought that legislation?
Okay. Let's start with that one. The rejection of municipal parties being correlated with the rejection of Danielle Smith in the UCP.
I think this is where if we named it a little bit differently, if we done, the anti-Smith party, something along those lines, we would have done much better. People thought that the only group that would be using the legislation were the sycophants that surrounded Danielle Smith, and it was a mistake on our part mistake and a failure not to drive that home.
Let's talk notwithstanding clause. What advice would you have for these two fine elected gents on stage? Shannon, can I start with you first, and then Carter? Annalise, we'll let you jump in as well, of course.
Well, the whole point when it was brought in was that the check on it would be both in Parliament or a legislature, but also in broader civil society and through public debate. When you go back and look at the justification for bringing it in, that was the idea that people would speak up and there would be, both a political price to be paid and some form of social opprobrium. So far, neither thing has happened. There has been, I think you're going to see an uptick in public opinion that is anti-Smith or pro-NDP, and I think you will see a further softening of her leadership approval numbers in subsequent polling that I'm sure Léger will be out in the field, for example. I'd be shocked if even Abacus doesn't go out and do a set. But the point is that there has to be political pushback outside of the courts. There is no courts check if you want to act unconstitutionally. So the Constitution, therefore, has to be us. And so I think each level of government needs to think very carefully about how they insert themselves into that debate. Wouldn't advise it for the federal government, just because Albertans are not interested in, I think, that conversation. It'll be really interesting to hear what the Supreme Court has to say about the parameters of judicial review around it, but other forms of government and forms of civil society can and should be saying something. Because I'll remind people that one of the reasons why Alan Blakeney agreed to have the notwithstanding clause in there is because he thought that maybe Section 7 would be used by corporations when NDP governments wanted to nationalize things. So, you know, that is a left-wing use case for the notwithstanding clause. It could go a number of different ways. The pushback has to come from society. There's and there's a reason why Blakeney never had to use it in the potash decisions that he made in the 70s and 80s.
Hogan, I'll let you go in a second, but Carter, you've got a municipal politician, a municipal leader, and a federal MP on stage. What advice would you give them about the notwithstanding clause and whether it's an issue they need to swing on and how hard?
Well, it'd be really easy to say, you know, you don't need to swing because it's not a municipal issue, it's not a federal issue. It's an everyone issue. And I think that you do need to swing, and you need to make sure that people understand that this is wrong. It was wrong with the teachers. It'll be wrong with the trans kids. It'll be wrong with whoever else they choose to bring it forward with. It is, it's incumbent upon all of us and incumbent upon our leaders the most. So my recommendation to both Jeromy and to Corey would be to remember that you're a leader first and a political operative second. Lead, take us against these, take us against this undemocratic use of the notwithstanding clause. No pressure.
Either of you gents want to get in? Hogan?
Look, I don't like the notwithstanding clause. I've got a lot of problems with it because its use in the real world has been not as advertised. So exactly what Shannon said, the intention originally was that it was to be a final fail-safe against courts run amok. The intention was you use it for 90-10 issues, 80-20 issues, maybe 70-30 issues. You never were supposed to use it for 50-50 issues. And we're now using it on 40-60 issues, depending on the jurisdiction. And that's really horrifying, and that's problematic. And I think some of it starts with making sure that we, the collective we as citizens, are willing to take our part in this, because the Constitution gave us the most important part, and that's throwing the bums out when they break the rules and when they use these things illegitimately. Because let's be clear, the Constitution by default allows reasonable limits. It is baked right in to the first words of the Constitution. The notwithstanding clause, by definition, is when a government wants to impose an unreasonable limit, a limit that goes beyond what would be normally justifiable in a free and democratic society. So it better be pretty damn universally accepted. It better be the kind of thing that very few people are going to object to, a supermajority support for sure. And what we have right now is not that. And that's a problem. And that's a problem we're all going to have to grapple with. But if you think someone's going to come along and change the Constitution to save you, you are dreaming in Technicolor. Get out there and throw the bums out.
You have been a fantastic audience. One more time, Shannon Phillips, Annalise Klingbeil, Stephen Carter, special guests Jeromy Farkas, Corey Hogan, to our producer Haxam and Ryan. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great evening, everyone.